Today we're here with Aram Lauxtermann from KPMG. Welcome, Aram.
Thank you, very nice to be here.
Yes, you and KPMG have embarked on a project called CloudNext. Can you introduce yourself and talk a bit about the CloudNext project?
Absolutely. So my name is Aram Lauxtermann. I'm a director within KPMG Ignition, and currently I live in Tokyo. About 16 months ago, I went to Tokyo from Europe to start a new cloud project over there. CloudNext wanted to be a very cloud-native platform. The principles were a little bit different from what we did beforehand, and we wanted to reinvent and start from scratch. Now, 16 months later, thinking back, it's been an incredible journey, and we had an incredible time, and it's good to have a point of reflection. So Thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah, and great that you wanted to do this. The point of reflection is there's so much achieved in the past 16 months. There's so much has been done. What were the goals from the beginning? What was CloudNext all about?
So I think that it started with a problem statement. And the problem statement that it started with was this. In Europe, I saw a lot of CIOs and they went on their cloud journey, and a lot of consultancy firms came in, and very rapidly they lifted and shifted everything that they had in an on-premise environment to a cloud environment. And at the start, it actually looks like it's very effective. But then when the consultants go away, they basically have a data center in the cloud, and the cost of that are way higher. So the problem statement with how we started was, if we take a look at the total cost of ownership of cloud, we should not underinvest in the CapEx, because it will come back in your OpEx. So how do we play the long game? How do we get all the benefits from cloud? And with that idea, we started to assess, how do you go cloud native? It's not a singular thing. Agile is also not a singular thing. It's most of the time CI, CD, Agile, Scrum combined. How do you maintain your code? What type of controls do you have? And in Japan, we had the advantage that we could go all the way. So we could go fully cloud native, how we saw fit. And we had a really good group of people around us who helped us with that.
Yeah, wonderful. And that group is something that is making a difference from what we learned in the other video. There's a lot of engineering going on, and we've heard that they're trying to achieve like a PaaS-only platform and trying to stay away from the legacy infrastructure bits. And you had in mind some goals there, something like you said, do it differently, do the long game?
Yeah, so one of the important things was first, get people in that you trust. So get people from a lot of different nationalities that know their craft, because they can explain to people that do not understand it what are the disadvantages. Most of the time of going, let's say, and by building a data center in the cloud, most of the time key decisions can be very simple or elementary. You change something small in a code base, you introduce one virtual machine into your network, but now you have to think about alerting, monitoring, ISO compliancy and certification. It factors out.
All the management.
Yeah, so you always want to take a look at what do you introduce to your system, how do you maintain your system, and how can you keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
And we build it around those core principles.
Prevent technical debt from building up. And the group has been something of a special group. There's been MVPs, but also people from all sorts of cultures, places, and origins.
It's a very unique position. So we have, I think, 20 plus nationalities now in KPMG Ignition in Tokyo. We have a lot of people from different sites, from every continent. We have people that know how to work well together. And from the start in our hiring policy, we were speaking with so many people and declining a lot of people based upon how they interact. We wanted to have that team culture. I still truly believe if you have, let's say, a team of 10 guys and girls that trust each other, that are good in their craft and can perform autonomously within an organization, you have an incredibly strong team. You can build around that and build off. And that was the goal. And
use the diversity in your advantage, I would say. Has it been hard? I would say like Dutch are perceived as very blunt, straightforward. How have you done that? Have you seen that they've been adopting well?
It's a trust issue from the start. So you can go, to give an anecdote, when I went to Asia and every company where I was managing or directing, I would always start with having a conversation with all the people that work for me, and I would say, like, what do you want? Because I think that within my position to guide people on their journey, I need to know how can we align what you want and what I want, and if we're both happy, we're going in a good direction. And in Asia, most of the time, the first answer that you get is, I want to make you happy. And it's like, this is very hard for me to manage, because I'm here to, I really see my job in leadership as guiding and helping people and being a facilitator to let other people like be very good in their craft and help them.
That's a great statement. Now, you've talked about Asia and having the roots in Japan with KPMG Ignition. From what I've learned is that this is a platform that many other member firms, countries and cultures are now trying to adopt and that you're looking at bringing to other regions. Is that true?
Absolutely. So I do not know the exact number anymore before this interview, but I think a dozen member firms are already using it.
Yeah.
We are in January, we have the Nordics. So that's Iceland, Finland, Norway, Sweden, also the Baltics are onboarding to CloudNext. The entire, it's a core principle. So it's about how can you trust us? Do you know that we're trying to do the best thing for the other member firms? We're not going to lie to you. So we have things that we do well. We have certain things that we do not do. Our cloud platforms suit certain needs. If you want to be cloud native, if you want to do DevOps, that is the direction that you want to go in. If you only have virtual machines and you only want to keep doing that, maybe we're not the best fit. And we tell people that beforehand. We're trying to limit as much as possible problems at the end and trying to tackle everything as much at the start and just be very transparent in what we do. So we open source our code base, we show people exactly what we're doing. People can take a look under the hood before they buy in, and they can take a look, what do they need from us and how can we help them?
Yeah, that's wonderful. What we've learned in the other video with Mark and Ben is that it's been very Microsoft Azure undertaking, but as well there's been multi-cloud and even a hybrid situation where Azure Arc has been involved. Is it something that's a goal of the project? Are you trying to bring the cloud capabilities anywhere?
So I spend a little bit of my time in the technology of investment banking, and what I saw is even if you build very simple systems that are very logical, the bigger they get, the more complex they get. And with CloudNext, what we saw with Arc, we didn't want to repeat ourselves. Like it's still like dry, don't repeat yourself. So when we heard that you could use Azure to manage multi-clouds and edge networks and also your on-premise environments, we were like, we have all these rules, all these policies, all our guardrails and guidelines. We don't want to repeat that process. We want to maintain it in one source of truth. Now they enabled us to do that. So from us, the concept, before even Arc had a lot of functionality, the concept itself was we have to be a part of this.
Yeah, and has that been also something where you've been working not only with Wortell and their MVPs, but also with Microsoft? That has been a triangle of...
So we worked together with Wortell, and Wortell just has incredible expertise in this field, has very good people, deep understanding, and people that also work a lot with upstream repositories of Microsoft. And when a technology is very new, it's always very good to have people that know, like, okay, they're still building this, they're in this phase, they know how to dissect and find the root of the problem and then fix it. So we had Wortell on one hand, we had on the other side, we had Microsoft. We were working with their fast track team. So we had a couple of people that we would sync up with, we would take a look on their public repositories, and then we would work together. And then the KPMG Ignition Tokyo team and all the different people that work over the entire world.
Beautiful. The platform, of course, in and by itself has been infrastructure, but there's also been a big undertaking to get a data platform on top of that.
Yeah, so we have actually, we started growing exponentially. So 16 months, maybe it's 17 by this time, when I went over to Japan, we started with, I think I had 3 people at the start that were software engineers that were looking, and we went from, I think now in KPMG Ignition in Tokyo we have 170 plus people.
Oh wow.
So we grew exponentially, and what we saw, what is the best way to diversify? You still need people with a base understanding of how does a cloud work. So when the cloud team got bigger from one team, Scrum team to 2 Scrum teams, and then we had a data engineering team with people with a deep understanding from Databricks, but also Kafka, so Event Hub, Data Lake, Data Factory.
All of the modern data estates.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw that they started specializing in that field, but they still really needed to understand what was underneath, because otherwise they would build services on top of a foundation that they didn't understand. So it was like organic, natural growth of the company, and they're now doing very well. They're now hitting the phase of maturity and interacting with clients, like what CloudNext already did way earlier in the process.
Yeah.
But we're very happy. Things are going very well.
Beautiful. Things are going well, but I would then ask, what's next for CloudNext?
So how I see it, what the goal of CloudNext was to tell an honest story, build a good product. It was a little bit like the Apple strategy, like we're going to build something nice and there's going to be a market for this. And we very much respect the entire Japan leadership to give us that space to develop that. And what we're seeing now is that we're reaching a level of maturity that there's more and more interest. So we're scaling our organization up. We're getting a lot of international attention. We're also getting some media attention from different sectors. So things are going well. What I foresee is that we will keep growing over 21, calendar year 21, and over 22. I think that we've already stabilized quite a bit. So it's just keep the platform up to date, keep building new features, keep improving, keep always assessing and thinking about what are you doing and why are you doing it, because paradigms change and you have to change with them. Yeah. And I expect that in 5 years we will have a lot of people that are very happy and a global community that is way bigger. We now have a lot of people that are already using our code base, but they fork off, they maintain their own things. And that's also the nature of a company like KPMG, because KPMG Finland has another client with other client needs than maybe one of our clients somewhere in Asia or in the Pacific. So it changes always a little bit, but having that global community where we share, where we build modules and we share those with other member firms is very much the end goal.
Great. Now with CloudNext you achieved so much. We have a different video where we're talking all the business and technical achievements. Are there any tips for CIOs, directors, cloud owners on how to approach this journey?
Yes. Yeah. So one of the most difficult things that I saw in business is that you have different fields that are interconnected with each other. So security, economists, people in business, in management and technology. And sometimes as the first one, you see a discrepancy between the different strategies. So the security team has a different security strategy than the technology team. And you see that the management wants to have a different total cost of ownership model than, for instance, what you're doing in your technology. So the first one is align all the different sectors. There's one strategy. That would be the first one. The second one, what I saw, which is a technical one, from a technology perspective, your upstream dependency within cloud and within data engineering gets bigger and bigger the entire time. It's not that we're building code only anymore that's executed in our own isolated environment. We have all these upstream dependencies. So do not try to enforce your own paradigm on a cloud service provider or any person that provides modules to you. Understand what their paradigm is and integrate it into your paradigm. Otherwise, your biggest risk is probably that they're going to do something different, and you now need to maintain your own system. Then from a technical or from a business perspective, I would always say one of the most important things is do not underinvest in what you're building. Think about the long game. How can you maintain it? Because your cost will skyrocket on the OpEx side of what you're doing if you're underinvesting on your CapEx side. So that is an essential part in how I see it. Also because you don't want to have a cloud for just a year and then it changes. Another essential one is make sure that you have people that truly trust each other and that want to learn and create a trust environment. That was for us essential. We have a lot of different nationalities, and it was like find a common culture and a common level of respect so that everyone can challenge each other in different ways. Those were, from my perspective, the most essential things. See yourself. The final one, maybe see myself not as a boss or a director, see myself as a facilitator to guide people and to align them on what they're doing and try to help them and make them happy. That's one of my most essential ones.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing those with us and sharing your journey on CloudNext and the tips for the CIOs.
Thank you very much for having me. All the best, Maarten.
You too.